All right, well, I know that you're thinking, man, that looks good sitting there right now, and that's a good thing because it's not going to move anytime soon. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Now, yes, the Humvee's behind me, but that doesn't mean we're working on the Humvee today. We're working on the crawler. Now, I'm a little ways into this, but we'll go ahead and step back and go over what we've done so far with the Durango. I ended up actually disconnecting the transfer case linkage on accident because I wanted to test out the 4-low. Tested it out, was pulling it up under the shade here, and wanted to park it so I could actually work on taking our little runner off here on each side, maybe the wheel flares, I don't really know. Taking off a few things. Went to put it back in 2-wheel drive, and it went into neutral, and then the linkage just came undone. I could just feel it. Won't go into 4 low, 4 high, 2. So it's stuck in neutral right now. So basically it's just gonna sit here until I get up under there and connect to that back, or at least just shift it in a 2-wheel drive. But I'm not doing that right now because it's like 90 something degrees out, and I don't want to crawl up under there and get all nasty and sweaty. So this is going to be a evening or maybe even early morning thing that I get up under there to try to fix that thing. So it is my intention with this build to kind of keep it a cheap build. I am going to actually source good parts though, so it may get higher than I really aim at. I was aiming at the 5,000 total mark for everything, but it's really hard to get 37-inch tires and new wheels and everything and actually stay within that range. So we'll probably break through, but we'll just not count the wheels and tires right now. Well, also I need to hook up one of the vehicles, can't do the Durango, to the trailer here, actually back this into the shop when the Humvee's out, use our little ceiling hoist to lift these things out of here because, well, as you can see, they're in here sideways, and that's because they don't fit widthways, just barely too wide. Well, as you can see, we got the axles off the trailer, we got the front one out here, and we've got the other one in here. So this one's still kind of up on the chains, but we're gonna go ahead, knock off these springs and everything on here. Basically just kind of cleaning it up a little bit, taking things off that we're not going to be needing, and then just cleaning up the whole axle itself. So yeah, I'm going to get to doing that. All right, we have the rear axle in here now. We do have our little tag over here. Not that I don't trust that or anything, but we're going to go ahead and do a check on the gear ratio on this. Put that in there so I know what side is what here. Basically I'm going off of this mark straight down to that mark, and then I actually just put a piece of tape kind of in line with the edge here so we can test it. So what we're gonna do, let's go one turn. There's one. There's two. There is three. All right, so there's 4. So we're or at least a 4 something gear ratio in here. And we're gonna rotate this till that becomes parallel again. It's hard to look through the camera. Yep. About right there. And we are, I would say we're about a third of the way through another rotation. So I'm betting these are a 4-3 gear ratio, a 430. I don't really know why it has a 4. That says 421, but I don't think that's a 421 ratio. Pretty sure this is a 430 gear ratio. Also because our front axle out here. It says right here 430. I went ahead and took off all the stuff, all the leaf springs and a lot of other stuff we aren't needing. They're all right here. I don't plan on doing anything with this. This will probably just be scrap. I may need the sway bar still. I don't know. Not sure that's gonna work right. So no, we'll see. But this is my scrap pile. It's probably just all gonna go to scrap yard. Cool thing about these axles as well is they are the 8 lug. I believe this is actually the same pattern as the Humvee. So we should be able to interchange wheels from this to the Humvee if we, get the same offset and stuff. Also, our tag here does say 30 on it. So I think there's a 4 up hiding under there, but 430. 430 gear on the rear, 430 gear on the front, we're all good. And actually with 430 gears, as long as the gear sets are good in here, I'm actually going to keep the 430s for a while, because though that gear set should be good probably up to 37s with this type of build. So if I go up bigger than 37s, I might look at re-gearing, but right now we're going to keep this the same. Well, that's more like it. We got that little step side off there. Now eventually, whenever we have some of this stuff done and it is lifted a little bit, we are going to look at putting some rock rails up under there as well. Really, bug? Anyway, we got the other little side step off of there as well. Now you can actually see a little bit better that we have this back over here. That frame is right under there, so we should be able to do some sliders pretty easy once we get to that point. One more little step down, closer we get. Well, we already saw that we took the little side steps off of here, but I also went ahead and took the bumper cover off as well. That way I can actually see up under here a little bit better. And then also I can go ahead and start coating some of this down with some PB Blaster or WD-40 or something. Well, trying to take this bumper off, all of the bolts inside of it have stripped, so I kind of want to do it, but 40 inch is actually what I'm thinking for this too. But well, I'm gonna have to find some 40 inch tires that aren't ridiculously overpriced right now, and some nice 17s. I'd like to run another set of Method 17s. So Method also has a series that has bead grip on the edge. All right, well, we got the leaf spring mount off on this side. Now I'm gonna work on that side. Now, one thing I noticed on doing this side, let me grab the mount. I was looking at cutting through this mount all the way, and what I ended up actually finding out is, well, it's not actually all the way welded through. So if you can just kind of hit that weld spot pretty deep in there, try to get down, to 3/4 of the way through that metal, that weld is probably done. So once you do that, you can kind of get, if you can get a little leverage, I have a little pry bar somewhere that I put down. Basically just kind of put it up under there and pried it a little bit, and one edge popped off. And well, notice it didn't pop off where I was actually cutting it all the way. So on this side, I took a flapper disc, kind of sanded down that weld a little bit more, and then I was able to basically get it off there. Kind of ground that down a little bit, but that's actually not a whole lot of grinding on there. Where the two welds were, they are a little high there, so I will come back over that, grind those down. But now that side. Well, as you can see on this side, I didn't nearly cut as deep as the other side. This side I kind of focused on that weld, kept it about 1/4 of an inch off of it, and kind of just, well, worked back and forward on it. And then I used a little flapper disc, got in there, shaved that weld down closer, and then kind of did the same on the other side. So once I did that, I went ahead and cut just a little bit of a notch on this side, just a little foot, like right there. But on the other side, cut that off so I could get a little pry bar up under there. Once I did that, actually just hammering it a few times trying to get it open enough, I came back over here and noticed that that weld had finally fully cracked all the way through. So basically just stuck that up in there, bent it up. So as you can see, that weld is broken. So now we're just going to basically kind of pry it till that other weld breaks, and then we'll sand it all down. That side took me about an hour and a half. That side took me about half an hour. Goes to show you when you know what you're doing, it goes a lot quicker. Well, did a little bit more cleaning on this. I still have some cleaning to do on there before we weld up the truss. But I did go ahead and pull in the dingo. Dingo? Maybe. Somebody mentioned dingo as a name. And, well, I don't hate it. I had found that before, whenever I was trying to talk about the Durango, I kept trying to say Duramax because I'm used to saying Duramax with, well, the Humvee swap. But now, well, obviously something else. But look at this thing. So, you know, your fancy little fender flares. This is what fender flares often do to a car because it allows water to sit in there. Also, I don't think it's necessarily just from the fender flares, but we are getting to where, I don't know if you could see, almost a separation of this body panel from the actual wheel well there. So you can kind of see where I marked off. That is about where we're going to be able to cut it, and then I'll probably drill and tack weld along the body. And this actually can come back further. I'm just not sure how far back. Yeah, I already cut out some of our rust there. This is a little weird little pocket thing in here. We have some rust in that piece. I don't know if I'll even patch any of that or cut it out. I'm gonna have to kind of get in there and see, because I think there's a little plastic piece up here. I imagine it is for some of the, well, you know, the drainage out for if you do get water in. Well, that's all stuff I don't care about cutting out, modifying up, so we may just do it anyway. We're not really going to try to cut into the front here any. Basically, if anything, we'll shift this axle back just a tiny bit to allow our 37s or 40s to go back here, and then just barely, it'll just barely have some room up front there. We do have some room that we could actually trim off of this, so if I did need an inch or so, we could go ahead and cut that all the way up. And then I just need to go ahead and take the trim off the doors there, and then, well, I'll take the trim off the front here in a little while. I'm not worried about the front. We're going to focus on the back first. But I think it's going to be easier, but I could be completely wrong. So either way, we're going to focus on the back suspension first. The back one time going up under here.